Hey guys, this is Compuncher, and today I'm doing a $1,100 PC build. But before we start this video, I'm sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. I've just had a ton of stuff to do. I've been fixing a ton of stuff with my audio, so hopefully it sounds a ton better. And from now on, I'm just going to be doing PC build videos. It's so much easier for me to do, because gaming is just hard to do. It's hard to get everything correct on the first try. Plus, I have to record with friends, and I'm not very funny, I can admit that, so this is just so much easier for me to do. But if you don't like this kind of content, please say something in the comments, and I will try to mix it up with gaming. But anyways, if you're looking to run all the new titles at 60 FPS, even at 1440p, this will be the PC for you. And if you want to do YouTube and stuff like that, this PC can also render and edit, so it'll be perfect for that. With all that said, let's get in this PC build with the CPU. For the CPU in this build, we have the Intel Core i5 6600K 30.5 GHz quad-core processor. While you could go with an i7 in this build, it would be good for rendering and editing, but since this is more orientated to gaming, I went with an i5 instead. If you're looking to do a lot of rendering and editing, I would go with an i7, but if you're just looking to game, stay with the i5. But with all that said, this is a K-series CPU, so you can get that 3.5 GHz up to 3.7 GHz or even 4 GHz. Moving on to the CPU cooler, we have the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo. There's not much special about the CPU cooler. Yes, you can overclock with it if you want, but if you want to get those faster speeds, go with a water-cooled CPU cooler like the Corsair H100i. Moving on to the motherboard, we have the Gigabyte GA Z170X Gaming 5. This is a great motherboard that has a ton of features, including up to 64GB of RAM, RAID support, Crossfire support, SLI support, 3 SATA Express ports, and onboard USB 3.0 headers. And as an added bonus, this motherboard does go with the red color scheme of the build. Moving on to the RAM, we have G.Skill Ripjaw's V-Series 16GB DDR4 memory. I went with 16GB of RAM in this build because it's becoming necessary with newer games requiring 16GB. Plus, this is going to be really good for rendering and editing. You don't really need 32GB unless you're going to do a ton of rendering and editing. But I would just stick with the 16GB even if you're going to do that. This memory is also DDR4, so it is clocked a lot faster and it should save power compared to the old DDR3. Moving on to the storage for this build, we have the Seagate Barracuda 2TB hard drive. I feel like 2TB in this build was necessary because 2TB lets you get more and more games, plus if you're going to record for YouTube, you want the most space you can get. But if you're not going to get a ton of games, you can definitely go with a 256GB SSD, whichever one works the best for you. Or even if you want the best of both worlds, just get a 1TB drive with a 120GB SSD. For arguably the most important part in our gaming build, we have the MSI GeForce GTX 1070 video card. This is an absolute beast of a video card. It can run most games at 1440p high to max settings and all games at 1080p ultra settings. This graphics card has 8GB of GDDR5 memory as well as 1 DVI port, 3 display ports, and 1 HDMI port. Enough about the graphics card in general, let's look at some of the benchmarks to see how it does. Note that these benchmarks are used with a different CPU, so your results may vary. And remember, you don't have to get the 1070, you can always get the 1060 if you don't care as much about graphics but you want to do more rendering and editing. Housing all these parts, we have the NZXT S340 black and red case. This case has a ton of options for cable management, as well as a sleek and stylish design. Not to mention, it also goes really well with their color scheme. Last but not least, we have the Corsair CXM 750W 80+ bronze certified semi-modular power supply. This is a great power supply with tons of room for upgrades, and it's also semi-modular, which is really good for cable management. It's also 80+ bronze certified, so you don't have to worry about it blowing up in your house or anything. But if you're not planning on upgrading anything for a long time, you can just go with a 600-watt power supply or a 650 or even a 500-watt power supply, whichever one works for you and whatever your budget is. So that's going to wrap up this video. If you guys liked this video, please leave a like, and if you like my content, please subscribe. If you really didn't like this video, please don't leave a dislike. Please leave something in the comments on why you didn't like this video, and I'll try to fix it in the next video. But anyways, thanks for watching.
I am the way your son don't need a gun to get respect up on the street. Under the sun, the bastard son will pop the clock to feed himself and family.